Through my medicated haze, I heard my family discussing me like I was already dead. She's been such a financial burden anyway. Maybe this is for the best. That's when I decided to give them the surprise of their lives, assuming I survived to tell it. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe. And please tell us which city you're watching from, and whether you've faced a similar situation to my situation in the comments below. My name is Helen Crawford. I'm 64 years old, and I live in Dallas, Texas. 3 days ago, I suffered a massive heart attack and was rushed to the ICU at Dallas Memorial Hospital. I still remember that moment clearly, the crushing pain in my chest, the inability to breathe, and then darkness. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in a room surrounded by machines. Heart monitor, breathing apparatus, IV drips, the classic ICU scene. But the most shocking thing was the conversation I heard coming from the hallway outside my room. My son David and my daughter Susan were talking quietly, but in the silence of the ICU, their voices carried clearly into my room. "What did the doctor say?" Susan's voice was worried. "Her condition is critical. Even if she pulls through, she'll need long-term care," David replied. "What about the costs? You know Mom's insurance doesn't cover everything." David took a deep breath. "That's the problem. She's been such a financial burden for the last few years anyway. The mortgage, daily living expenses. She was constantly asking us for help." This wasn't true. I hadn't asked them for a single penny in the last 5 years. In fact, when David had his business crisis, I had helped him. I had covered Susan's children's school expenses, but apparently, they remembered the situation differently. Susan's voice dropped even lower. "If she doesn't make it this time, maybe this is for the best. She won't suffer anymore, and we'll be free from this financial burden." My heart, my already damaged heart, broke once more at these words. My children, the children I had raised, fed, and educated, saw me as a financial burden and were considering my death as relief. David quietly agreed. To be honest, her quality of life hasn't been great in recent years anyway. Maybe we should just let nature take its course. I understood exactly what he meant by letting nature take its course. Not paying for extra treatment costs. Not covering private care fees. Not making an effort to keep me alive. Something changed inside me at that moment. Not just disappointment or sadness, but a cold determination. If I could get through this situation, I had a lot to teach them. The next day, I spoke privately with my doctor, Dr. Martinez. "Doctor, what's my condition really like?" "Mrs. Crawford, you're very lucky. We intervened in time and the heart damage is less than we thought. With proper rehabilitation and medication, you can return to your normal life." "How long will it take?" 2 weeks in the hospital, then a month of rest at home. After that, you'll be as good as new." I smiled. "Doctor, can I tell you something? And let this stay between us." Dr. Martinez looked curious. "Of course, Mrs. Crawford. I own this hospital." The expression on the doctor's face was unforgettable. His jaw dropped. His eyes widened. "More precisely," I continued, "I'm the main shareholder of the Dallas Memorial Hospital Group. I own 87% of the shares." Dr. Martinez leaned back in his chair. Is this possible?" "My husband, Harold, and I founded this hospital 40 years ago. When Harold passed away 8 years ago, all the shares came to me. My children don't know about this because we always preferred to live modestly." "But how can my children see me as a financial burden, you mean?" I nodded with a bitter smile. "Because in recent years, I decided to treat them like I was just an ordinary retiree. If they learned our real situation, their approach to me would change. I didn't want them to show me love for money. Dr. Martinez was still in shock. So what are you planning to do now? Now I'm going to teach them the biggest lesson of their lives. The next morning, I called my family to my room. David, Susan, and Susan's husband, Michael, came. They all looked serious and a bit uncomfortable. "Children," I began. "First, thank you for coming here." David leaned forward. "Mom, the doctor said your condition is good. Thank God." "Yes, I'm recovering, but there are important things I need to discuss with you." Susan looked worried. "Mom, don't tire yourself. Focus on getting better." "No, Susan, this conversation is necessary. Because last night I heard your conversation in the hallway." Both of them froze. They looked at each other like guilty children. "Which conversation, Mom?" David stammered. "The conversation where you said I was a financial burden. And the conversation where you thought my death might be for the best." Silence fell over this room. Even Michael looked uncomfortable, starting to look toward the window. "Mom, we were just—" Susan started, but I cut her off. "Susan, for 40 years I gave everything for you. Your father and I worked day and night to keep this family going. We counted broken change in the account book when you went to the doctor. We didn't go on vacations, didn't buy new cars so we could pay for your university expenses." David hung his head. "Mom, we know this and now I've become a financial burden?" My voice was starting to rise. "David, who gave you $50,000 when you were unemployed last year? Susan, who covered your daughter's orthodontic expenses?" Both of them were silent. They were starting to remember the facts. "But more importantly," I continued, "there's a truth you don't know about." Dr. Martinez entered the room at that moment, as we had planned. He had a file in his hand. "Mrs. Crawford, the documents you requested are ready?" he said, and handed me the file. I opened the file and looked at David and Susan. "This document is the ownership breakdown of Dallas Memorial Hospital. And as you can see here, 87% of the hospital is registered under the name Helen Crawford." David's face went white. "What do you mean, Mom?" "I own this hospital, David. Your father and I founded this hospital. And not just this hospital. I'm also the main shareholder of the Dallas Memorial Group's 12 hospitals." Susan's mouth hung open. This is impossible." "It's not impossible, Susan. Throughout our 45-year marriage, your father and I made smart investments. But we hid this from you because we wanted you to be with us for love, not for money." Michael finally spoke. So you're a millionaire?" "No, Michael." I laughed. "I'm a billionaire." I felt like the room was spinning. The expression on my children's faces was priceless. A mixture of shock, shame, fear, and regret. "Mom," David spoke trembling. We didn't know." "Yes, you didn't know, because I wanted you not to know. But after what I heard last night, it's time you learned the truth." Susan started crying. "Mom, I'm so sorry. We were just what, Susan? You wanted to get rid of my financial burden. You wanted to let nature take its course, didn't you?" David stood up. "Mom, please forgive us. We misunderstood the situation." "No, David, you understood the situation very well. You just made wrong assumptions." Dr. Martinez spoke again. "Mrs. Crawford's condition is completely stable. She'll be discharged in a few days." I turned to my children. "And when I'm discharged, There will need to be serious changes between us." "What do you mean, Mom?" Susan asked fearfully. "What I mean is this. From now on, you know my real situation. But this doesn't automatically give you anything. If you want to continue being with me, you'll need to prove that it's for love, not for money." David looked hopeful. "How can we prove it?" "First, through your behavior. Then over time. And most importantly, by never seeing me as a burden again. That day when I left the hospital, my children came home with me. But everything had changed now. They had started to truly value me, not for my financial situation. Of course, time would show how sincere this change was. But at least now they knew who I was and what I owned. And they would never again think that my death would be for the best.